Good evening from a dusky UK. I'm delighted to be joined this evening by Tony Millington, crime writer, has written two series. So we'll be talking about those. But first of all, from your biography, you've had a very interesting journey before you started writing a variety of jobs.
Yes, I have. Started from school. It was a case of I was told pretty quickly that we could. My parents couldn't afford university, so it was a case of going straight into job wise.
Mm.
So I've done virtually most things that anybody can think of. Started off working at a petrol station. Um, and worked in two loads of bakeries, including Morrison's near us in Stamford.
Mm.
After that, I took some time out and went back to college to do a BTEC degree in sports and recreation,
Okay.
which then led me into getting my lifeguard certificates. So
Does
while I was
that
working at um,
go?
the local swimming pool in
Mm.
Stanford, I was
Okay.
doing that part time, and I was taxi driving part time.
Mm.
Um, Went on to working abroad in Mallorca for about 3 or 4 months, and then finally really settled down working for the MOD in the civil service for 15
Ah.
years.
Mhm. Does your the lifeguarding, does that mean, because I did bronze medallion and silver medallion, does that mean you can throw a mean lasso to rescue people
Well, I don't know
and
about that.
do the old dragging them,
Yeah,
with
we
the arm
tried.
over
We
the.
did that as one of the courses that was on the BTEC course, and
Mm.
then once we'd all passed that type of thing, there was a number of us that they said, "Can you actually? We need some part timers to cover the next door in the local leisure centre." So there was
Mm.
a few of us that went across there, and I spent probably a good year and a bit
Mm.
doing part time work over there.
Mm.
Doing lifeguarding there.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, I didn't have to rescue one or two. I rescued one or two, but not many.
Okay, right. And did your MOD, because according to your biography, you're like most of us, where you think you have a book in you, and it turns out you have at least seven. Um, was working for the MOD any relation to you deciding to write crime?
No, not really. The books, actually writing the books, didn't start until after I came out of the 15 years we were there.
Mm.
From there, I went after a bit of unemployment. I went and worked for the local council in Peterborough in the first the children's services and the adult services. And it was there I was getting the idea of actually writing books. I'd listened to on the way home, getting stuck in traffic, a interview, and everybody said, and the person in there said that everybody's got a book in them.
Mm. Absolutely.
And yeah, everybody mulls around saying we've got little bits and pieces stuffed in our head somewhere,
Mm.
waiting to get out, but nobody ever does it. But I tried to, and I wrote a few things down and plotted a little bit about what I wanted to do.
Mm.
Crime came naturally with watching crime on television,
Mm.
like CSI and the like.
Mm.
Um, but for my books, I wanted to go away from the trope of the drunkard detective and all that lot.
Yes.
So what I was working on was a pair of detectives who were friends outside of work as well as in work.
Mm.
They worked together, but the families were also they're happily married. They got families. The families got on well together.
Mm.
And I built it around there, and then built the books around that
Mm.
area.
Mm. Because your first series was Monteith and Watson, and you've done
It's
three of those.
actually so it's the only series that I've got.
Okay.
Um, if you're looking at the books that I had, unfortunately, like quite a few authors nowadays, they have fun and frolics with publishers. And
Right.
unfortunately, the first two publishers I was signed up to, due to circumstances beyond mine and their control, they either went under or they just stopped working in that. And I had to change publishers, and I'm now with the publisher I'm with now, City Stone Press.
Oh, right. Yeah, I know Caroline.
But so with Caroline, she knew me from seeing the books previously when I put them out. And she said, yeah, I can do something with them. But because I've had them published before, each time I've had them republished into the next publisher, they've had to change the title and the front cover.
Yes.
So basically, within the parameters, they are almost the same books. The first two books in the series have been published 3 times now.
Right.
And I've only just this year managed to get out the third book in the series for the first time. So hopefully I can build on it from now.
And how long does it take you to write a book from idea to finish?
On average, I'm working around like until I can get it right is from about 9 months to just under a year.
Yeah, that's
I
about the
don't
norm,
work too fast, but I'm one of these people I go back on things that I've already written to make sure that I've got it right in the first place, and then before I carry on with that. I keep on saying I'm one of the people that say that they're pantsers. I haven't got the foggiest what I've got to write down when I'm coming onto the computer. It's up here, but it's getting them down onto there. But I found as I'm going along, if I'm struggling at getting words down on the page, I always go back and try and re-edit it and re-edit what I've already written before, just to get me back into the groove again.
Yeah. Do you write quite regularly? Do you find, because I'm sporadic, so I find I've forgotten so much that I do have to go back anyway.
I used to work quite diligently. The majority of the time, the reason is after I was working with the council bit, I went to work for a couple of other companies, but during that time, I'd lost my job and I ended up having a mental breakdown. But I'd already started working on and already close to finishing the first one, if I hadn't already, and was working on the second one. So to save me going down into the depths of depression a lot more than I was, my wife just gave me a kick up the backside and said, right, keep your head up, get writing some more work. And then because I was the way I was, I actually had the time to actually do writing most days. So the first possibly 3 books came quite quickly. I got those done within about 3 years of each other, 3 years. And I've written 2 more since, but they haven't been published as yet.
Okay. And are they continuations in the series?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, it's books 4 and books 5 in the same series. I just sent them out to get re-edited again, just to make sure that they're all fine.
Sure.
And I've written about 15,000 or so for book 6.
Okay. Do you just work on one book at a time?
I work on one book at a time.
Yeah.
But every so often I've got so many ideas in my head. I've done it that I've written sort of like a couple of 100 words in this little bit here. And then I've got another idea, written a few 100 words for another idea here. But then they've not really amounted to much. So they've been stuck on my computer, and I need to try and work out what I'm actually doing
Yeah,
with them.
yeah. I think
Uh,
sometimes if you've got more than one thing, if you get stuck with the main thing, it's nice to have something else you can go to. So almost your subconscious is then carrying on with the main book.
yeah, I've done some of
Yeah.
those, but I've also, with those, there's one or two of them that I've actually worked into the Watson and Monteith series.
Mm,
The start of what would be the fifth book,
mm,
I'd written something and done about 1,000 words for might have been for another series I thought about writing,
mm.
but I took that to do the start of the fifth book.
Right.
The same bit, just changed whoever it was in there,
Mm,
and started writing book 5 with that bit. So there are bits and pieces that are around.
mm.
While I was off as well, I did a few weeks at the local college for a free writers course,
Oh, yes.
and it was a case of um, helping you understand and getting writing and everything, the do's and
Mm,
the don'ts and everything.
mm,
Because I was unemployed, it was fine. This was a free course because of that.
mm,
And there was one bit that the author that was taking it said you got 15 minutes to do some free writing
mhm,
about something. So I wrote quite a bit of there, and that has ended up in one of the books, I do believe, and I think that might be in either book 2 or book 3. I can't remember
mm.
which one it is now.
Brilliant.
So yeah, I've amalgamated some of the stuff that I've written
Mm,
out of the book to go into the book, just to make
mm.
to amalgamate things.
Right. And how do you find, because you know you've got with working with publishers, you have editors. How do you find the editing process? Are you okay? You
Um,
quite okay that it's your
Traumatic,
baby being, oh, yeah,
trauma,
right. Do you get
traumatic.
do you get how much of a say do you get to, because it's your baby
It's my
ultimately.
baby.
This
That's
is what,
how we're thinking of it. I mean, the first
yeah.
editor that the first publisher I had, he was brilliant. He said, "It's your story.
Mm,
We'll keep it as it is.
mhm,
Just change one or two things, go through spellings and everything." And
mm,
that's when it was originally put out. I mean, if you've seen it on there, it was called Unsilent Grief, and
right.
that was near as close to how I actually wrote it.
Mm,
So those first two books that came out with there, they were okay with it.
mm,
Um, the second publisher I had was Dark Edge Press,
right.
Louise Mullings,
Yes. Yeah.
and she was brilliant. There was a lot of going backwards and forwards with that, and making sure everything worked out right.
Mm,
If she wanted to change something, then she'd ask and all that lot.
mm,
And I was quite happy with the second one when they came out the second time as well.
mm,
Um, and with sometimes you do find that, like you said, it's your baby. You don't really want to change much.
mm,
So if your editor, whichever editor it is, comes in and says, "No, that's wrong. We should change that, do that, or
mm,
everything,"
mm,
um, then you try and question it,
mm.
and why the reasons are that happens.
Mm.
So there's a we clashed
Back
one
and
or two
back and
times,
forth.
but
Yeah. Do you get?
there's 3 books out there, and 3 books I'm quite happy with.
Mm? Yeah, I can tell by your biography picture how proud you are of the first one.
When that first came out, yes,
Mm.
that was in
Yeah.
about 2017 when it first came out.
Okay.
So
Mm.
to actually see your work that you've been working on for what, a year or so or something,
Mm.
actually down in print and
Mm.
they're out for everybody to look at. Yeah,
Mm.
it's a very proud moment.
Mm. And what do you think of your covers? Do you get say in the covers that
The covers
adorn
that,
them?
yeah, you get sent the covers and say, is this all right, or anything else like that. But most of the time, yeah, I do go with the covers that are actually sent to me. Both Louise and Caroline have said, right, what are your ideas for the covers? And I'd go through the websites where you can get pictures and things that I think might look good on the front of the cover. And then they'll play around with it or give me something which is virtually close to what I was thinking of it going to be. But the ones that Caroline have done with the 3 books, I'm very happy, especially the 3rd one that came out. I was extremely happy with that one.
Good, because people do judge, readers do judge a book by its cover, don't they?
They do.
Yeah. And you are the best person to know what it represents. The story.
Yeah,
even the
he's done that very well with those 3. And the first one, it's the first one just to get it out there. So it's like it's police, but raining and just something, a generic thing. But with the next 2, the cover really represents something that has been said or been done in the story of the book. So you can actually see it relates to what's in the book.
And how much do you get involved in the marketing? Because these days, especially with smaller publishers, it's expected of the author to do as much marketing as possible. Do you enjoy that kind of thing? Getting on social media?
It's hard, especially with small publishers, because they don't have the clout or the resources, maybe, to give you the backing that they want to. So yeah, I've been trying to push things through. I try and get my books by speaking. I've spoken on quite a few occasions to the local Waterstones manager in Peterborough to get my books in there, and it has worked. We've managed to get the books in there. And I'm waiting for a call back. These 3 that are out now, they're trying to get them into the shop in Peterborough. And then once that happens, because Waterstones is really the only bookstore in Peterborough, if you take away WH Smith's, which nobody can really get into, it's only the major. And then the supermarkets, they only go with the major things that are in the charts at the time. So if I can get them into Waterstones, I've been trying to contact other bookstores which are private or other Waterstones in the area around Peterborough. Is actually get in contact with them and actually put myself out, say, can we do something or not?
Because most places are
in there. Would you accept it or not?
Sure.
It's just hard. It's going.
It is. Well, I used to say to, or used to, still do, say to my students that actually the writing is the easy bit, because we think we write a book and put it on. If we self-publish or go with a publisher and it goes up on Amazon, you think then that people are going to see it and buy it and your job is done. But really, it's once your book is out there, it's one of the hardest things. But Waterstones is very supportive. They wanted to have my Northampton book, but unfortunately, it was priced too high, and it was 100,000 words, so it was too expensive for them in the end.
One of the local ones around here did actually contact me back and said, we apologise. We did have a look at the 3 books, but the margins between the recommended prices and the prices that we were so small. We'd love to have it, but we won't be able to, we won't make anything back on it. So unfortunately, they had to say no. I don't quite understand the reasons for it. So at the moment, really, it's they've got you over a barrel with Amazon, because that's mainly at the moment the only place where people can actually get their books if you haven't got a decent bookshop near you. They've monopolised the section, not monopolised the industry.
Well, I know of people who go into Waterstones to find a book and then even stand there. I know one person in particular who will go into Waterstones and be on their phone, find a book they like the look of, and then go on Amazon, and because it's £2 cheaper, they'll buy it from Amazon. They'll literally just buy it there and then leave the shop, and it'll be delivered the next day. And it's tough. It's tough for any kind of business.
With Amazon, you can get the book, like you said, the next day. If you have it on Kindle, you can get it within 5 seconds.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly.
I know with Amazon on their websites, when I've looked up mine, they said it'll be in the shop within 3 weeks.
Yeah. Nobody waits.
It's not very good. It's a shame for the bookstores.
Yes, it is. It's tough. Absolutely. So you're writing the next, or you're going to be milling ideas for the next one?
Yeah, I've got a few ideas. Excuse me, milling around, but at the moment, sort of like over the last few months, 6 months or so, I've not been able to actually sit down and start writing a lot of stuff. With other things that have been going on in my life and whatever. My mojo seems to have disappeared again.
Right.
And it's actually finding the time to actually sit down and write when you're not distracted with other things that are going around.
Yes, life is very easy to get in the way, isn't it?
Yeah.
But you enjoy it when you sit and write and you start going, and because
yes, I have done, because most of the time you never know what you're going to write.
No.
As I said, I'm a pantser, and most of the time I don't know what I'm going to write when I sit down. You've got an idea what you want to write, but then there's people, you go along the lines of your characters actually talk back to you, and they take it in a different direction.
Yeah.
Or you're so busy actually writing and everything, you write something down and then you have to recheck it, think, did I actually write that? That looks quite good. I love it. I like that. It surprises you, never mind the reader.
Yeah, one of my previous dogs, I remember he used to he was the same with this one. He follows me, he's my shadow, and I remember sitting in, this is when I was in Northampton, and I said there was a particular bit, I can't remember what it was, but there was a particular bit I was so pleased with. I sat there clapping, and he looked at me as if to say, "Oh, here she goes again."
Yeah,
but it's just a. It's a thrill.
It's actually the end bit of book 3. I knew I was at the end of the book and everything, and I was busy typing away, went through. I knew what I was going to write, and then all of a sudden something changed, and the ending quickly changed to something else. And then, like I said, I looked at it and thought, actually, I like that. I'll leave that. I'm not going to touch it. It's going to stay as it is. I'm not going to add to it or anything. I'll leave it as it is. That'll do me.
Yeah.
It just takes you by surprise sometimes.
And do you create new characters as the series goes on? Because obviously you've got the core set of characters.
You've got the core ones, and then you've got other characters coming in and out.
Do you have a favourite?
There's 1 or 2 characters that appear that aren't the main characters, but they appear in 1 or 2 of the books. There's one that appears in book 1, and then he has a main part in book 3.
Okay.
So I've got those type of things, and there's another one that the family appears in books 1 and 2, and 3 actually. So there's a family that goes all the way through that the detectives have to deal with. But they are, when I say that, all 3 books that I've written now and are out are all separate stories, but there are things that are in there that 2 and 3 you can relate back to the previous books. But you can read them as standalones.
Yeah, that's the ideal scenario really with a series, is that somebody could pick it up and just read it in one go, but you get the backstory of characters and their lives, and the detectives and so on. So yeah, brilliant. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you, Tony. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And hopefully we'll be back in the not too distant future. We'll start with book 1 and have a live audience and chat about that.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Very welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you to you.